Our story begins with a few men running away from something in the grasslands. All three men begin to meet somewhere at the outskirts of the grasslands, and they look like they're in trouble because they talk about retreating and trying to reach someone named Master Chen. One of them, the master of the two, has his leg injured, but they split up anyways in order to give their pursuers a harder time. The master takes the scenic route, while the other two men get chased. Farther into the fields they go, and the two also decide to split up. One of them gets absolutely cornered by men with swords, but he still tries to run. Then he bumps into this old dude. This is Yen, and it looks like he's the bad guy here. Ching calls him out on his evil deeds, but Yen wants the location of the innocuous Master Chen guy, or else Ching gets the curtains. Ching refuses to snitch, and he's persistent to fight Yen to the end instead. Our first kung fu battle takes place. Yen eventually has him on the ropes with his furious finger techniques. So now he wants Master Chen's location. Ching refuses, and he absolutely gets bodied by Yen. Somewhere else, this master's scolding his young student and is trying to set him straight with kung fu. The master's asking his foolish student, Xing Lung, to demonstrate his kung fu moves, but instead dances around like a 90s boy band reject. Luckily, the master's eyes are blurry, so he tests him physically on his stance, but he maintains more of a puppy stance than a proper stance. The master urges him to be grounded, firm, and balanced with his stances, but he's still a bit floppy. The master then asks him to do a new stance. He has to remain like that for a long time. The master leaves and sells some toys to random children on the streets somewhere nearby. Xing actually escapes his assigned task and goes to this betting ring instead. Xing manages to win the first round, but his hubris makes him lose the next one. He's discouraged, but then he overhears someone overwhelmed with bad luck, so he offers a helping hand. Even while this random guy was reluctant at first, Xing picks a bet for him, and guess what? He actually wins. He takes a small cut from the random dude, and then gets invited to play again. He refuses though, so they send their guard after him. Xing buys some food, but he gets tailed by the game masters and the guard. They angrily confront them for basically raining a parade on their business, and they want their money back, otherwise there's gonna be dire consequences. Xing, however, doesn't give one, and he gives him a few quick hits instead. One of the game masters fights back, but he gets a face full of fists, so he retreats. Now the fat one fights in his stead, but he gets a few fists of the North Star and takes a tumble, causing a mini earthquake. The little game master, Stony Egg, attacks once more, but his face gets filled with Shing's foot dirt. Ironhead, the guard, charges into Xing once more, but he's taken care of after a few hits to the head, a swing from a branch, and some finesse from Xing. He retreats, and the Great Bear takes his place. Throwing blow after blow, Xing dodges the attacks, pushes back with great force, causing this bear to fall once again. Hilariously, he lands on Stony Egg and is buried partially into the ground. Ironhead digs him out, and these losers retreat entirely. Xing gets back to his master's place, where they celebrate with great wine and food. Sadly, the party abruptly ends when his master wonders where he got that money for this. So he lies. The master, Ching Peng Pei, has his doubts, but it's training time yet again. They head outside, and the master gives him a staff while he wields one as well. They get to combat, and blow after blow after blow, the master is relaxed and manages to stave off Xing. In the next round, he mostly uses his bare hands against his staff, but the master's obviously in the lead with his precision and accuracy. The master keeps schooling him until he's driven to the underside of the house. He does eventually get out and faces the master, but as always, defeated. The master then confronts him to stop using his kung fu in public, cause it's their clan's special secret breed of kung fu. Next scene, this random guy tries to train Xing with dealing with customers, ergo swindling them with underhanded tactics that emotionally manipulate the customer. This employer's asking him to keep an eye on who's poor and who's rich to properly segregate them accordingly. Back on the streets, Stony Egg, Great Bear, and Ironhead are all looking injured, but they're still on the lookout for Xing. Speak of the devil, there he is. I'm assuming he didn't get that job, so he's feeling pretty ticked and doesn't want to play their game now. They still follow him nonetheless. But he swears this time he's really gonna break their bones. They swear that they won't do anything foolish with that kung fu, so they introduce him to their boss, Cha Ti. He takes them all on an expensive lunch, offering Xing a job, teach kung fu at his school, and earn about 100 pieces of silver a month. This includes some extra payments every time he fights. He wants that offer, but he's also afraid of what his grandfather will think, cause he's absolutely forbidden to publicly share their kung fu secrets. Cha Ti tries convincing him by whispering something in his ear, then offering him a tour of the school the next day. The following day comes, and they're all outside the school of the Everything Clan. What kinda sucks is the school only has 2 students, and they refuse to pay. Xing says maybe he should change the name of the school, so he thinks of one. The next scene comes with a lot of kung fu students, and what looks like the rival kung fu master. He's asking Cha Ti what he teaches, and he claims he teaches the Triple S technique. Sounds like a Devil May Cry fighting style. Well, whatever it is, Cha Ti tries to convince the rival master to join their kung fu cause, but he's reluctant, so Cha goes inside. There he tries to wake up the sleeping master Xing, and Cha says there's business at the door. It's to convince the rival master and the students with him to join their dojo, and Cha even brings the possibility of a lot of profits. Xing comes out with a dirty disguise, and he's asked to fight that rival master to prevent him from tearing down their school. It all begins with Xing offering him a cup of tea, but that tea party turns into a fist party, hands flying everywhere. At first, the rival master was pretty confident in his skill, but Xing quickly turned that around and probably not even taking this fight seriously. Well, the fight began on foot until Xing forces a teeter-totter on him. The battle migrates to the open field, and the rival master's trying his hardest to defeat him, but Xing is just too good. They're about to go inside now until another ragamuffin shows up wanting to test Cha's strength. Since he claims to have defeated the rival master from earlier, Cha calls upon Sigao-san, which is the disguise name for Xing at the moment. He wants him to defeat this guy, and he looks like an easy target, so he gets to it. He runs behind Cha, and a whole lot of lethal swipes fly towards Cha's direction. Sigao now wants more money out of this deal, while he's dealing with Bar's swift strikes. He manages to barter a lot while trying not to get a taste of that judgment cut. The battle goes back to the open field, and this time, Sigao wields a metal staff. Initially, Sigao's ramping up both defense and offense pretty nicely as he staves Bar off several times. Bar's no quitter though, as every time he gets pushed back, he gets up again. That's until Sigao gets the best of him and disarms his sword. In fact, your boy here straight up uses it against Bar and disrespects him with it. He eventually hands it back for a fair fight, but he continues to mock him. The fight's getting old now, and Sigao disarms him once again. This time he takes away the sword, pile drives him several times in the hiney, and actually politely gives the sword back to him. Then we're back to Qing's house, where he's awakened by Xing arriving home. Qing's asking how his work is, and Xing lies, saying that he just works at a cleaning position, and then Xing tends to him with some medicine. The following day, Cha notifies Xing about some more business prospects, and this time, it's a big guy. Of course he wants him to go after this big guy, but Xing seems content at the moment. That is until Cha offers him 500 silver pieces. Xing accepts that and gets up. Cha gets out and begins to brag about Xing's skills to this big dude. The big guy seems pretty impatient though and wants Xing out right now to fight him. Wish granted. Here he is now, and he's slain in that outfit. Of course, this was the late 70s with everyone's goo goo gaga eyes for the drag queen that is Xing. The big guy immediately simps for him, despite not knowing he's really a he, and he even wants him to crush his balls. How advanced of the 70s. Of course, stranger danger, and then Xing slaps his face. In fact, he slaps him repeatedly. The dude gets touchy as if it was bang bus, so Xing busts out his kung fu. The big guy's even into feet, but Xing doesn't want any of it, so big man goes full ape after Xing winds up for a big punch. But the big dude can't really tank a lot of damage. Eventually, they find out he's a guy because of his loose wig, but after a few chucks of fruit, the big dude's down for the count. Let's go to this random scene now. These guys getting absolutely beaten by the men of Yen. He's still after Master Chen. Then they get wind of Xing's kung fu school. Back at Qing's home, Qing finds a spot where Xing was doing something sus. Turns out he buried some money there, and it was supposed to be for him if he got game ended. Back at the Kung Fu school, Xing is yet again schooling another unlucky idiot to fight him. Unluckily for Xing as well, his grandpa Ching is among the watching audience. Xing then spots his grandpa among that crowd, so he tries to hide his face in the middle of Mortal Kombat. Party's over when his disguise comes off, and Grandpa comes walking angrily towards the inside. He punches the Kung Fu rando off and gets an offer from Cha, which he promptly rejects. Old man Ching goes inside to look for Xing, but comes out empty-handed. Ching reveals to him that he's the grandfather of their so-called master. Just as Ching exits the premises, here comes Yen and his men. Cha goes to Yen, but I think he accidentally gave away Ching's location. Here's Xing, thinking about his mistakes, since his grandfather found out about the whole charade. Ironically, here comes Yen too. Too busy thinking, Xing mistakenly gives away Ching's location to Yen. Ching hears Yen coming, and it's revealed by Yen that Ching is also the mythical master Chen from the beginning. It's time for a grudge match and the two catch up after 10 years. That's until Yen's confession on him digging Ching a grave. Boss battle time, boys. Yen starts strong with firm yet accurate strikes. Ching's keeping balanced and on his toes, deflecting all of Yen's attacks. That's when Yen does the signature armpit grapple, throwing him off to the fence. Ching gets up and fights back once again. Yen seems to be on the leading edge of this war of punches. Yen says he's grown weak, but somewhere nearby, Xing's watching. Too bad one of Yen's men ambushes him and grapples him to the ground. Back to the grudge match. Ching slowly being cornered. Yen was right about one thing. He has grown weak, so he's thrown off the house once again. Yen goes for the signature clawed neck grab on Ching and holds him by the throat. One more throw and another kick, causing Ching to finally black out. A painful defeat, and Yen finds one of his toys named the 8-legged unicorn. Yen then leaves with his men, and Xing is still being held down. Once he's free, he tearfully rushes to his grandfather's lifeless body in a fit of rage. He tries to book it for Yen's direction, but the old dude with the cane grappling him earlier stops him. He's raging for trying to stop him from saving his grandpa, but the old man with the cane stops him from hitting him. Xing then mourns for the loss of his grandfather, and then asks the old man about what Yen wanted from his grandfather. The old man says he wanted to go after that 8-legged unicorn. But Xing goes on another fit. The old man stops him from doing anything stupid, trying to calm his nerves, so they go for a bite. Of course, Xing isn't himself. That's until the old man challenges him to a chopstick food battle with Kung Fu. They keep eating each other's food, but the old man's good and tricks Xing into eating rocks. The old man's kind and eventually gives him the meat that he wants. After the grub, it's time for training. Xing puts himself on a rigorous exercise, really pushing himself since he's fueled by vengeance and all. Of course, knowing Xing, he takes it too far, and instead of hurting himself, he accidentally topples his new master over. Up next is weightlifting, specifically dragging these sacks around the field. Here you could really see the excellent muscle definition Xing has. The new master turns it into a bigger challenge by getting on top. He teaches him how to stiffen up at the right times in order to absorb blows. Then they put his skills to the test with some sparring. He still has a lot to learn, so the master teaches him some helpful breathing techniques. And then it's back to sparring. It's a new day for Xing. He wakes up to some more training, only this time he's gonna have to use the house's environment to his advantage. The spar begins, and he's doing well, balancing on the pottery so far. Predictably, it doesn't take long for the new master to catch up to his fancy footwork, and he eventually ends up at the bottom of the barrel. Literally. He goes free, but gets taunted by the master, so he fights once again, quick on his wits. He forces the master into a compromising position with pottery. Great progress for Xing's skills, but of course the new master pulls a total reverse on him. Out on the streets, he sees a toy vendor, remembering his grandfather. He buys one of the toys and he breaks down. Suddenly, Yen and his men walk by. With no one to stop him, he charges after him and the battle commences. Yen takes him on alone, but his rage blinds him, and he gets defeated over and over. Eventually, he does get stopped by his new master. Not knowing who they are, Yen allows the new master to take Xing away. Yen's men eventually realize that they might be in possession of the 8-legged unicorn. They're on their scent now. Then night falls. Master takes care of his injuries and tells him to control himself and wait for the right time to strike. There is a new technique that the master wants to teach him before he faces Yen. Now this new technique is basically a mix of emotional and physical strength. So the very next day, Xing gets training. He attempts to master both his martial arts and his control over his emotions. He seems to have done well now. so he returns to his master, but the house is ransacked. He goes looking for his new master, and it looks like Yen's men are beating him. It's revealed by the men that he's the 8-legged unicorn. Shing comes to his rescue, facing off with Yen's men. Even with weapons in hand, they're no match for the fury of Shing. His talent as a martial artist has really shown. Even though they're holding the unicorn hostage, he manages to fend him off until it's boss battle time. Yen's here. He and Shing finally reach their final tussle. As always, Shing starts strong, but Yen's a master at Kung Fu and just throws him away the first few times. Progressing through this battle, Shing begins to cultivate his inner strength, which grants him a second wind. He remembers the final technique he learned from Unicorn, so it's time for round 2. With the force of different emotions, not only is Shing able to mitigate Yen's lethal claw strikes, but he actually manages to defeat and castrate him. Shing carries Unicorn home, and the rest is history. Relax them muscles, cause that was it for the Fearless Hyena. What'd you guys think about this fast-handed movie? Let us know in those comments below with that hashtag cinema recap. This was The Fearless Hyena by the Goodyear Movie Company, starring Dean Sheck, James Teen, and Jackie Chan. Until that next Kung Fu hustle, farewell.